Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sutarasata Shri Srimat Hey Divine Grace Abhaya Charanamenda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Nitya Leela Vavishta Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sutarasata Shri Srimat Hey Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Jagoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Grantha Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. Additional pastimes, chapter titled A Summer in Montreal. Gaurasundar was a quiet young man, steady in his duties. Gaurasundar recently left his body. He liked to study Prabhupada's books and could understand the philosophy. Although negligent about studying Bengali and therefore sometimes unable to translate the verses Prabhupada had assigned, he was a careful servant, and Prabhupada was pleased with his work. Often Prabhupada, taking the part of the Mayavadi, would debate with Gaurasundar. Early one morning, Srila Prabhupada walked into the room where Gaurasundar was sleeping and woke him with an argument of Mayavadi philosophy. Krishna's personality must be a product of illusion, because the Absolute is defined as beyond personality. And Gaurasundar had to immediately refute the argument. Prabhupada would sometimes remark that eventually Gaurasundar and Govinda Dasi should travel together to some part of the world and preach. Krishna consciousness had to be introduced in so many places, and Prabhupada envisioned that one day his servant and secretary would go off to open a new center. Taking care of my body, he said, is not such an important thing. One day, Prabhupada and Gaurasundar were discussing philosophy, while Govinda Dasi spent a long time in the kitchen washing pots and dishes. The noise of her cleaning carried into Prabhupada's room. She has this cleanliness disease, Prabhupada warned. My wife and daughter also had it. You should catch it while it is not developed, otherwise it will get worse. This is a famous story. I caught my daughter once. She was washing the electric sockets by splashing water into them. And I told her, do not ever do this again. If you do this, I will kill you. So she promised she would never do it again. Because in India, you know, all the light sockets are hanging from a cord on the ceiling. And so you can hold it, and she's splashing water into it. Of course, that generates its live current, 220 volts. Very easy to become electrocuted. In India, it's easier to become electrocuted than any place else. We have practical experience. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 10th chapter, chapter titled Dhruva Maharaj's Fight with the Yakshas. And apparently, there's many verses without purports. I'll just read the Sanskrit and then we'll chant the last verse. Is that okay? Tata Vishista Itare Ranajirad Raksho Gana Chattayavaya Sayukai Payo Vivrik Navayava Vivrik Navayava Vidu Druvur Mrigendra Vikidita Utapa Eva. Everyone's following along, right? Translation: the remaining yakshas, who somehow or other were not killed, had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior Dhruva Maharaj. Thus they began to flee, just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Text 21. Apashyamana sa tada tata yinam mahamrade kanchana manavotama purim didrikshan apinavishad dvisham namayinam veda chikir shitam jana. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield not one of the opposing soldiers was left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alakapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic yakshas. Text 22. Eti bruvang chitralatak swasaratim etak paresham pratiyoga sankita shushava shabdam jalader iveritam nabas vato dikshu rajo vadrishita. In the meantime, while Dhruva Maharaj, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there, and they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. Text 23. Shanain achaditam vyoma ganankena sarvatak Vishpurat tadita dikshu shasayat stanayituna.
Within a moment, the whole sky was overcast with dense clouds, and severe thundering was heard. There was glittering electric lightning and severe rainfall. Text 24. Vravrishu rudhi rogakshik puya vin mutramedasa nipritur gaganat asya kabandan yagrato naga. My dear faultless Vidura, in that rainfall there was blood. In that rainfall there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine, and marrow falling heavily before Dhruva Maharaj, and there were trunks of bodies falling from the sky. You could make a movie. You could have CGI. Now you have AI, so everything's so easy. But you can just imagine. Tatake, text 25. Tatake drishita girir nipetu sarvato dasham gada pariga nistringsa musala sasmavarshana. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions hailstones fell, along with lances, clubs, swords, iron bludgeons, and great pieces of stone. Text 26. Ahaya shani nikshvasa vamantognim rushakshibi abhyadavan gajamatak Singha Vyagras Chayutasa. Dhruva Maharaj also saw many big serpents with angry eyes, vomiting forth fire and coming to devour him, along with groups of mad elephants, lions, and tigers. Text 27. Samudra Urmi Bir Bhimaha Plavyan Sarvato Bhavam Ashashada Maharada Kalpanta Eva Bishanaha. Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with foaming waves and great roaring sounds came forward before him. Text 28. Evang vidan yanekani trasanyan yamanas vinam sasrijus tigmagataya asurya maya yasuraha. The demon yakshas are by nature very heinous, and by their demoniac power of illusion they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. Text 29. Dhruve prayuktam asurais tam mayam atidushtaram nishamyata shamunaya sang asangsan samagataha. When the great sages heard that Dhruva Maharaj was overpowered by the illusory mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. Text 30. So this is the verse we're chanting. Munya Uchu Autanapada Bhagavan Stavasarnaganva Tanapada Bhagavan Stavasarnaganva Devakshinodva Vantat Vavanatartihara Vikshan Deva Shinodva Vanitartihara Vipakshan Yanamadaya Mabidaya Nishamya Chada Yanamadaya Mabidaya Nishamya Chada Lokon Jasa Tarati Dushtaram Angamrityum Lokon Jasa Tarati Dushtaram Angamrityum. Please chat. Devakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadheyam Abhidhaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokon Jasatarati Dushtaramanga Mrityum. The way to chant, in my experience, you have to connect the two. So instead of saying Loko Najasa, you just say Lokon Jasa. You just connect the two. Lokon Jasa Tarati Dushtamanga Mrityum. Next. Moyochu. Otan Pada Bhagavatang Tava Sarngadanva. Nevakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadheyam Abhidaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokon Jasatarati Dushtam Amanga Mrityum. Shri Shivadha Govinda Dev Ki. Munaya Uchu. Otan Napada Bhagavan Tava Sangadanva. Devakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadheyam Abhidaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokon Jasatarati Dushtaramanga Mrityum. Muniyo Uchu. Otanapada Bhagatan Tava Sangadanva. Devakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadheyam Abhidaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokon Jasatarati Dushtaram Angamrityum. Munaya Uchu. Otan Napada Bhagavan Tavasan Gadanva. Yanadivati. Yanamadeyam Abhidaya Nishangya Chadha. Lokan Jasatarati Dushtaramanga Mrityum. Umrayauchu. Otanapada Bhagavan Tava Sankadanva. Devakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadheyam Abhidaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokon Jasatarati Dushtaram Angamrityum. Uchu. Otanapada Bhagavan Tavasangadanva. Devakshinoddva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan. Yanamadeyam Abhidaya Nishamya Chadha. Lokan Jasatariti Dushtaramanga Mrityum. Is that everyone? Yeah? Muniya Uchu. The sages said, Otanapad O son of King Uttanapada, Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tava, your, Saranga, one who bears the bow called Sangha, Deva, the Lord, Shinotu, may he kill, Avanata, of the surrendered soul, Arti, the distresses, Harak, who removes, Vipakshant, enemies, Yat, whose, Namadeyam, holy name, Abhidaya, uttering, Nishamya, hearing, Cha, also, Ada, immediately, Loka, persons, Anjasa, fully, Tarati, overcome, Dushtaram, insurmountable, Anga, O Dhruva, Mrityum, death. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. All the sages said, Dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanapad, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Shangadeva, Shangadanva, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus, a devotee is saved. Purport. The great rishis approached Dhruva Maharaj at a time when his mind was very perplexed due to the magical feats exhibited by the yakshas. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his inspiration only, the sages came to encourage Dhruva Maharaj and assure him that there was no danger because he was a soul fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. By the grace of the Lord, if a devotee at the time of death can simply chant his holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this Maha Mantra, he immediately surpasses the great ocean of the material sky and enters the spiritual sky. He never has to come back for repetition of birth and death. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can surpass the ocean of death. So Dhruva Maharaj was certainly able to surpass the illusory, magical feats of the yakshas, which for the time being disturbed his mind. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruva Maharaj's Fight with the Yakshas. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Everybody's looked at the pictures in 4th canto to see all the... You can look at it later. There's other ones which are even more graphic, but this one is pretty good. Has all the elements, the mad elephants, lions, tigers, the snakes breathing fire, all the weapons raining down, but they don't show so much of the blood and stool and pus and mucus. But that's okay. In the movie they will. Om Jnana Timranda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshwar Matamin Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vatsalam Pangum Lankayate Gurum Yokipatamam Bande Shri Gurum Dirataradam. So interesting, sometimes, it's a common refrain that when the devotees are in trouble, they just tell one another, they say, just chant Hare Krishna. And it's some people say, oh. But here you see that the sages, the demigods, are approaching Dhruva Maharaj, and look at the position that he's in, being assailed by the illusory magic of the yakshas. And what do the sages tell him? They say, just chant Hare Krishna. You're protected. Why are you disturbed? Nehabhikramanasasti pratyabhayana vidite swapamapya shidharmasya chayate mahatobhya. Saves one from the greatest danger. All right? Prabhupada describes that greatest danger as fear of death. So all these things are meant to establish fear in the mind of Dhruva Maharaj so that he would become weak and abandon the battlefield, run away. Because, this just happens. I mean, even in a dream, sometimes when there are some opposing elements, one becomes so afraid. And so this is the same thing. It's illusion. The dream is not reality. I mean, not in our waking reality. And so really nothing in that dream can harm you. But sometimes you can become so afraid in that dream that you will suffer some physical effects. People can have a heart attack. They could be, what do they say? Scared to death. Otherwise, where do they get that saying? Scared to death. How does a person become scared to death? Because his mind becomes so overwhelmed with fear that his autonomous system just shuts down. Just shuts down. So such things are there. Why do people like to make horror movies? Why do people want to go see horror movies? What is the thrill? To be scared? What's all right? Some movies they make, and you see that people have to walk out. So that means that the person who made the movie has achieved his goal. He has scared that person so much that he paid good money, but he didn't even have to watch the whole thing. So such things are there. Yeah. So what is that other shloka? Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Nama Shuddha Purna Mukta Binadvam Nama Namino. That Krishna's holy name has all potency. Right? Prabhupada told us that if you're attacked by a ghost, simply chant Hare Krishna. And if not, just say Krishna. Because when you're attacked by a ghost, it's a struggle to speak because they've taken over all of your bodily functions, which is their intent. They want to use your body, vicariously to enjoy, because they cannot enjoy. Subtle body cannot enjoy. Can only have the desire, but no means to fulfill the desire. No working senses, no sense of, it's all mental. All mental. Simply imagination. So if they want to feel, if they want to touch something, if they want to smell something, if they want to taste something, if they want to experience, they have to take over your body. All right, so everyone, if you haven't had experience yet, at some point you will, because ghosts are everywhere, especially in places like big cities. There's so many things. Not so much out in, areas, because the ghosts have to stay in their place. They can't travel. It's not that wherever they die, that's where they stay. So it's like they make their own prison. So that's why they have haunted house. Right? People will say, don't go there. That house is haunted. So why? I mean, if he's a ghost, he can do so many things, but he can't leave that place. He's restricted. That's part of his punishment. So he's waiting for you to come inside in some intoxicated condition, because if you're in an intoxicated condition, you lose control. See, between the mind and the body, there's a connection. And if you don't maintain that connection, that's why intoxication is dangerous. So if you don't have that good connection with your body, it's like you have a car. If you leave it running and you walk out the door, you forget to put it in the brake or it's in neutral, the car goes off by itself. Someone else can jump in that car at that point, and he can take the car, and you're left standing back there on the road. So this happens. So the ghost waits for opportunity. He sees somebody is not very strong. He's taking intoxication. And so he goes into that body and he makes some connection. And if you're weak, then he can completely take over your body. And what happens? You become a ghost. You become the ghost. Because you've lost the use of that body. Somebody else has that body now. Now there's still a connection. You have that connection, but you cannot do anything. The ghost is stronger. You were foolish enough to indulge in intoxication, and therefore you forfeited the right to utilize this human form of life. But it doesn't have to just be a ghost. In the material world, just say there's illusion. Everywhere is illusion. Dhruva Maharaj is being treated to a grand illusion. Huge cloud enveloping the whole area. And from that cloud coming all these nasty things. Just meant to put fear in him and and all of his soldiers and his charioteer. But the demigods, because in that time of distress, the demigods are on the side of the devotees. So they immediately came to give him some support and remind him, just like devotees here, just like when the devotees say, "Bro, just chant Hare Krishna." So the demigods came in and said, "Just chant Hare Krishna. What are you worried about? This is all illusion." You break the illusion by engaging with the Nama Chintamani Krishna, the touchstone of Krishna's holy name. Immediately frees you from all distress. How else Krishna could say, Sarvadhamma Prityaja? What is that for you? I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. And this sinful reaction is not just some past karma, this and that, the other. No. The sinful reaction is manifest in every aspect of the modes of material nature. And it can just, so what does it say? Adhyatmaka, Adhibhotaka, and Adhidevaka. So all these things are the instruments of the illusory energy. And she can use them any way she wants. She can make you see something which is not there, like with Dhruva Maharaj. And you'll say, oh, what is this? So one has to, but the bottom line here is that the soul surrendered to Krishna has clear vision. He's not bewildered. Mayamitam tarantite. That divine energy of mind is very difficult to overcome, but for one who is surrendered unto me, very easily cross beyond it. Very easily. So this is the whole key. So if someone is having problems, you can say, Prabhu, what's the difficulty? Like Prabhupada used to tell to Shruta Kirti. He wrote that. That's part of his, I think that may be the title of the book. What is the difficulty? And Prabhupada would always ask that question. Not just to Shruta Kirti, but what is the difficulty? Chant Hare Krishna. This is not a simplistic response to brush off someone who's bewildered or immature or less intelligent. No, it's actually the highest instruction. And if one was taking it seriously, then he wouldn't need to constantly have to seek some alternative method for becoming free from this fear, like taking intoxication. When a person is in distress, first thing he wants to do is to forget it. Why do they call intoxication? What does that mean, intoxication? Inebriation. It means to become completely bewildered by some influence. In this case, the influence is either drugs or alcohol. It can be other things as well. Some people use hypnosis in order to put a person in a certain state of mind where he has no control. Just by programming, because it's just like programming. Just by this hypnosis, you can put in some programming, some code word, and when that person hears that code word, he will react in a certain way without any understanding of how he's acting. So such things have been shown to be true. You just have to have the right conditions, and the right candidate has to be weak-minded. Someone who is susceptible to the power of suggestion.
But everyone is also susceptible. Sometimes your friends will say, come on, let's go to the movies. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. This is also on a different level, a suggestion. They're not telling you, hey, when I say this word, doesn't matter where you are, you will kill this person, whoever you're with. So these things have been experimented on. You can learn about these things if you want, but this is not necessary. Just to understand that such things are possible. All things are possible. Look at these yakshas. Look at the magic, the power that they have to produce such illusion. But there's illusion, but it's not. And where does illusion come from? Is it external? It's internal. But by the power of suggestion, in his mind, he thought he saw all these things. But this illusion is so powerful that not just he thought, but everyone he was with saw the same thing. So that's like mass hypnosis. Everyone's seeing the exact same thing. So it takes a lot of expertise to do that. So these yakshas, they have some Shakti. Everybody has some Shakti in there. Probably indicates that these are the Tibetans in the Himalayas, Alakapuri. So the Tibetans have practiced these type of arts, magic, white magic, black magic, since time immemorial. They have their own culture surrounding these things. And so this is nothing new under the sun. But for us, the lesson is clear, that even in the most extreme circumstances, one can take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. This is the supreme shelter. There's nothing more powerful. Prabhupada said, fear personified is afraid of the holy name. So that's why he said, if you're attacked by a ghost, you say, Krishna. Immediately the spell is broken. Immediately. What do they say? Hand to hand. Immediately. So this is for the devotee, you don't want to have to practice it under such circumstances as this type of illusion or this type of nightmare. We're practicing every day by this process of Sankirtan, externally, bhajan internally. And then this way, one has developed a certain type of armor. He's fortified. Just like you have to take your vitamins. Otherwise, the body becomes weak. The immune system becomes compromised. So if you're not chanting regularly your 16 rounds, if you're not regularly engaged in devotional service, then where is your protection? Everything has, just like if you pick up a bottle of vitamins and you turn the bottom, what does it say? Best by such and such date. Expired by. So everything has some finite time, because after all, time I am destroyer of all the worlds. So even on the vitamin bottle, there's a limitation. So if one is engaged in spiritual life, but he's not regularly renewing his spiritual inoculation, not this mundane material vaccination, but the regular chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how can he expect to be protected? Sadatam kirtayanto mam yatantas chadra, always chanting my glories. All right? Sadatam kirtayanto yatanta, endeavoring with great determination, namaskanta, and bowing down before me. Such great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Nitya yukta upasate. Perpetually worship me with devotion. Not just for 2 hours in the morning, or 1 hour in the morning, or 10 minutes in the morning. Perpetually. Prabhupada said 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. So how many hours is that for sleeping? 6 hours. 4 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Because as soon as you get up, the first service is to remember, who am I? Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, immediately, whatever dream, whatever illusion you're waking up from is finished. Now it's time to engage in reality. Sometimes people don't want to wake up for the dream. They think, oh, this is such a nice dream. Let me go back to sleep and finish it. Right? Everybody's had this experience. They, oh, such a nice dream. I just want to finish it, just go back. And they force themselves to go back into the illusion. Right? But just to see. No intelligent person in a waking state who understands the difference between reality and illusion would try to engage in something for which there is no real benefit, only some mental satisfaction. But some people are satisfied. They call it vicarious pleasure. Video games are like that. You're playing a video game, you're enjoying some alternate reality, you adopt some avatar, and you're this or that. You're no longer a man, now you're an orc, or you're a wizard, or you're something else, right? Some people are adopting female avatars, but they're male because that female has more power, for whatever reason. But the thing is, this is all illusion. But they think, no, I want to enjoy. And for hours and hours, one guy in Japan, he died because he didn't eat or sleep for days. He just couldn't get off the computer. Couldn't get off. And then the mother or somebody found him dead at the console. Dead. So who knows? Maybe he died in the game. But, these things are so connected. And in the military base, the big base in Afghanistan, because all the soldiers, when they get off, they don't have enough of the actual battle. They go and they play games, Call of Duty, Battlefield. And what do? So then there's when they go outside the gate in reality, because you have to have a base. It's called going outside the wire. So you have a gate, and above the gate, what does it say? It says, no respawn outside this wall. Because in the game, everybody thinks, oh, if I die, I'll just respawn. So they remind you, this is reality. Outside this gate, there's no respawn. So take care. You die out there, you're dead. So we're also engaged in a battle with Maya. And you don't take chances. We think, no, I can do this. I'm strong enough. No, this is illusion. I'm strong enough. I'm strong enough to do what? Prabhupada related the story of Haridas Thakur and the prostitute. Well, we can understand any woman coming out in the middle of the night half-dressed is a prostitute. She's hired by whoever that rascal was. What was his name? What's his name? Yeah. And so then, he just imagine, young man he was considered to be very beautiful, very handsome, but he was so fixed. Of course, he's not an ordinary person, but still, by example, he told her, just wait. And the devotees in the classroom probably relating, they left. And we've said this story many times, but you have to hear it repeatedly. And Prabhupada said, no, this is not funny. Don't laugh. He says, you cannot do this. He said, I cannot do this. You don't be in such a situation alone in the dead of night with a woman. Because this is an impossible situation for 99.9% of people in the material world, man or woman, doesn't matter. Prabhupada said, for man, woman is enjoyment. For woman, man is enjoyment. It's the same. Woman,
It's the same, no difference. So one has to be careful and take precautions not to be in a situation like that. That's like when you cross the road, you wait for the light. Because you never know what's going to come. You see many times a person will start to cross the street because for whatever reason he thinks, this truck is coming, I can beat this truck. But he doesn't know that on the other side of this truck is a speeding car. So he gets past the truck and he gets hit by the car. Because it's a 2-lane road. You have to cross both lanes. He was able to cross one lane, but he didn't see the danger in the other lane, which was obstructed by the truck. This happens all the time. This is not just an example. It's a reality. It happens all the time. So that's why you always have to think ahead. No, let me wait until the road is clear. What is this 2 seconds going to save me? Rush out and not see that other truck coming. So this is where the chanting comes in. So Krishna is seated in the heart of everyone. From him comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Knowledge, remembrance. If you have no knowledge, then remembrance does you no good. Remembrance is simply the ability, like the hard drive, to be able to access the data that's stored there. Otherwise, it's password protected, and you can't get in. But if you're chanting Hare Krishna, and you're sincerely serving Krishna, then automatically you have free access. But you have to use it properly. Everything is by utility. You have to use it properly. Otherwise, what do they say in the material world? Use it or lose it. So we have so much opportunity. Sometimes people forget, I'm here in the temple. I'm just washing pots. What to do. What's the future? The future is in Krishna's hands, not in your hands. In the material world, you have no idea. Right now, what's happening is you're creating the environment by which, through this endeavor, Tadarajas tamo bhavo kamalobhadayasche cheta ete anavidam stitvam satvam prasite. You're rising through the modes of nature. They're actually laid out directly in front of you by this sincere devotional service. Completely. This camera is dead. This camera is dying. Just in case anybody is concerned, but this one didn't have enough charge. This one is okay, but it's blinking. Yeah? Okay. So the situation is that, the modes of material nature, there, you cannot have knowledge until you achieve the mode of goodness. You maximize the mode of goodness. Some other thing can be there, still mixed. All the modes in the material world are mixed. But to the extent that you are engaged in such a way, through devotional service, by consciously endeavoring to please the Yashadevi Parabhaktir Yata Devet, implicit faith in the spiritual master in Krishna, to that extent, then the modes of goodness become prominent and knowledge can take hold. And then you're able to see, okay, wait, what am I worried about? Krishna can provide anything. You see that so many people in the material world, they're automatically getting some great wealth. But I'm not getting. Why? So I should abandon devotional service and make some other pursuit. People are thinking like this. But Prahlad Maharaj gave the son of the richest person in the universe at the time. Hiranyakashipu had conquered the heavens. He had all the wealth of the demigods. Everything that could possibly be achieved, he achieved. But his son was saying, whatever, and he was the greatest demon also.
And that was just to show that automatically you will get whatever you deserve, automatically, according to your karma, good or bad. So without seeking it, some people are getting great wealth. And on the other hand, without seeking it, one is getting great distress. Both are coming of their own accord. So the main thing is to try to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will give you the benefit of your accumulated pious activities automatically, without any extra endeavor. The first one was coming in contact with the devotees. This is not an ordinary boon, right? They call it a boon. Lord Brahma gave a boon to Hiranyakashipu. Lord Shiva is giving boons all the time. He forgets even. Giving boon by which one can even get to kill himself. What was that demon? The one who wanted to touch his head. What was his name? Okay. So like this, so you have to be careful. But the boon that we're getting is, first of all, we got an opportunity to serve Sri Sri Radha Govinda. In the human form of life, there is nothing greater. But sometimes you think, no, I'm just going to use this for a little bit, and that's it. Don't think like that. Maybe it will happen like that. Yes, you'll get a job, you'll get this, you'll get married. But don't think that this is just a temporary situation. Once having come in contact with this society, with this movement, if you're endeavoring with the correct attitude, what is that verse? Atak pumbir dvija shesta varnashama vibhagasaha sanustatasya dharmasya sangsiddhir haritoshanam. Doesn't matter what condition you find yourself, whether you're an actual Brahmin or you're trying to achieve that level of developing these Brahminical qualities. The main thing is that you have to satisfy Krishna. Main thing is you have to satisfy Krishna. And then automatically everything will come without any extra endeavor. This is the whole point. But someone's thinking, no, I have to do this, I have to do this. No. Why? If I'm endeavoring correctly, Krishna says that Konteya prati janahi name bhakti pranashati. My devotees never perishes. So we're here, we're doing everything. Why would Krishna abandon us? Unless we reject him by our attitude, by our actions. It can happen. Someone is offensive to the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas, yes, that's automatic disqualification. Just a matter of time. It may not happen instantaneously, but it will happen guaranteed. Krishna will not let him stay. Anyabhilasata sunyam jnana karmadivranavatam anukulyena krishnanushilanam. But has to be favorable devotional service. Free from these desires for temporary satisfaction or boons. Don't serve Krishna thinking that I'll get some pious result. Right? Because yes, you'll get some pious result, but you won't get pure devotional service, which is a greater thing. And Sanatana Goswami, when that thief came, he heard that Sanatana Goswami had touchstone. And the thief wanted to rob Sanatana Goswami. So he came to him and he gave some ultimatum that if you don't give me this touchstone, then something bad will happen. Sanatana Goswami said, this touchstone, it is in the rubbish heap. I threw it in the rubbish heap. The thief is thinking, this touchstone is the most valuable thing that exists in the material world. Whatever you do, whatever you touch becomes gold. Whatever iron you touch, not anything, iron, base metal. And this sadhu threw this in the rubbish heap. Then he thought, there must be something more valuable. So then when he inquired,
course, Sanatana Guru said, yeah, there is something much more valuable, but you have to be qualified. And so in this way, the thief, became a disciple. Because he wanted to know, what is this most valuable thing? And obviously this most valuable thing is the jewel of bhakti. There's nothing more valuable. But still, somehow or other, we're measuring it according to our past material. So, mat karma krin, mat paramo, mat bhakta sangha vajata. Free from the contamination of previous material activities and mental speculation. One should not try to understand devotional life, spiritual life, by previous material misconceptions or by mental speculation. Then Krishna, mat karmakrin, mat parama, mat bhakta sangha vajata, nirvara sarva bhuteshu, and becoming a friend to every living entity, becoming Krishna's devotee. One day, it's guaranteed. Guaranteed. You'll see so many examples, but still we think, no, well, it happened to him because he was born in a rich family and he didn't have, no. It happens to anyone, rich or poor, it doesn't matter. It's all up to Krishna, what he wants to give you. Sudama Vipra, what did he have? He was born in a Brahmin family, but he had nothing, poverty-stricken. And his wife, this is the problem with having wives in this respect. If you're poor, wives don't like to be poor. Okay? They want stri, means expanding. They want house, they want good clothes, they want gold, they want everything. All right? But he couldn't give anything. What could he give? Nothing. Living in a hut, begging for food, sometimes eating, sometimes not, completely skinny. But he had one thing. What was that one thing? He was Krishna's friend. And because he was Krishna's friend, just by patram pushpam palam toyam, just by giving this flat rice, which is nothing, it's to give some personality. Like if you want to go to Modi and here's some flat rice, not even muri, not even spiced, nothing in there, no mungpali, nothing, just plain flat rice. It's like an insult. So he didn't want to give it. He didn't want to give it. But Krishna knew he was hiding it, so he forced him. I know you've brought something for me. What is that? He forcibly snatched it, and he took one finger. You know how you eat more? You take some finger, you pop it in your mouth. He took one, and as soon as he was about to take another, Rukmini, the goddess of voice, no, you cannot take another. Because you have so much wealth to overwhelm the entire planet. You can't do this. Okay, so okay. And when he went back, what happened? He saw that his whole hermitage became transformed into the palace of Indra. And all these people that resembled demigods were coming out of the gates. And he couldn't understand what happened to my home. Where's my home? Where's my wife? Where's my children? Where? And then he could understand and recognize that his wife would become emaciated, because that's what happens. Doesn't matter if you're beautiful. If you take some purgative, like the story Liquid Beauty, then you become ugly. Face becomes blackened, eyes become sunken. Nothing is there, all bones. So his wife was like that every time. And all of a sudden, his most beautiful apsaras, denizens of heaven, because he pleased Krishna. Patram pushpam pulam. So every day we're endeavoring to please Krishna. We're not looking for any return. I'm not thinking, yes, Krishna, I'm cooking you some nice Raj Bhog, but I have this list. Rolls Royce, Ferrari, Lamborghini. If you could just take care of that. No. We're cooking, this is ahoitikiya pratiyata yayatma suprasidati. Completely free from this material motivation. Otherwise, yes, Krishna will give you all of that, if that's what you want. If you want to meditate or not, Krishna is very generous. He will give you whatever you want. He says, but you will have to take birth again, and you won't see human form of life, Prabhupada said, for 1,000,000 births. 1 million births. This is for someone who is executing devotional life. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe doesn't mean instantaneous. If you didn't complete the path due to material desires, 1 million births. Human births, but birth after birth after birth. That's it. You don't get a chance for devotional service again. Because you didn't take it seriously. So why is Krishna going to give it again? There's some guarantee. You'll get it. It was like Chota Haridas. He was so happy. When will Mahaprabhu allow me? When will I see Mahaprabhu again? Oh, after so many births like this. And he was ecstatic. I will see Krishna again. Was that Chota Haridas or that was someone else? Anyway, the Leela was like that. So any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions? How can we make everything better? The first thing is we have to take care of ourselves. They say, sometimes you'll encounter this term, it says, physician, heal thyself. Sometimes people don't like to be corrected. They say, you and I, we both have the same faults. Why are you pointing out my defect? First, you correct your own defect. And that's okay. We should not be criticizing others. This is not our business. Our business is to present the philosophy, just like it's described, in such a way that a person becomes attracted. He thinks, oh, this person is so knowledgeable. I would like to have. Where did he get that knowledge? People are curious. Oh, yes, there's this very nice book, Bhagavad Gita. You please take it. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're here since last 43 years, And this way, more and more will come, because there's no other solution in this material world. Nothing. Whole material world is just like circling the drain, ready to go down the tubes, as they say, down the tubes. So the only thing standing between that is those persons who are trying to preach God consciousness. We're also trying to, but there's other people trying to preach God consciousness, but some of it is not palatable. Their presentation is not very nice. It doesn't invoke the true nature of the love of God. It's all forced. You must love God or I'm going to cut your head off. No, this is not. So this is not the case. So we see that those who are actual bona fide representatives of God are always preaching in a very loving way. And people become attracted because they want love in their life. And now they think love means sex. But Prabhupada said out of frustration, they're also loving their dogs. They're not having sex. Some are having sex with their dogs. Prabhupada even indicated like that. Because people are so frustrated with personal relationships, they'll have sex with animals. So it's such a nasty thing. But this is Kali Yuga. Any questions? More questions? We have to get ready for the Sunday feast. There's so much work and so few people. So we have to all do a little extra service. You should think, what can I do extra to take up the slack? Look around the building. Let me collect all the trash from the pujari room or from the kitchen and bring it up to the alleyway. And do something practical. Prabhupada was always concerned about doing something practical, not theoretical. This is a movement of action. By the very word, consciousness is not a dead body. A dead body, there's no movement, no action. But the International Society for Krishna Consciousness implies there is action. You're awake. Right? They say, you're awake, not woke. Okay? So we're awake to the reality. Nobody can bewilder us, nobody can cheat us, nobody can fool us. Right? So don't get fooled again, right? That's what the song says. Don't get fooled again. So just now that you've come to Krishna consciousness, now that you know what is reality, now you know what is illusion, right? You can, even when it's presented before you like a beautiful woman in the dead of night, you can say, no, no thank you. I have a higher taste by Krishna's mercy. Vishaya vidivartante neharasya rasavajam rasopyasya param jasvanavartate. Ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness, fixed in knowledge. That's consciousness that means you can't have knowledge without the proper consciousness. That's material knowledge. Real consciousness, real knowledge means transcendental, that which pertains to the soul. Right? Any other questions? I'm making all the questions and answering. No other? Huh? Nothing? Jayant? Ultimately, it is a solution, because Nehabhikramanajusti means that even there's no loss or diminution, and a little advancement saves them from the greatest fear. So death itself is fairly quick. But the fear of death is what gives the tribulation and the anxiety and the distress. When people think, oh, I'm going to die. If a person is sick and he's in the hospital, he thinks, I'm going to die. How can he be happy? He knows, I'm going to die in 3 months, I'm going to die in 6 months, I'm going to die in 2 days. No. But if one is if he's in Krishna consciousness, it doesn't matter if he dies now or if he dies in 100 years. That transition, dearest touch on amuyate, he's not bewildered by such a change. One door closes, another door opens. You open the door to the spiritual world. You're immediately back in the association. Tyaktva deyam punarjanma naiti mamiti sojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and disappearance, for him there's never birth or death again. And in the end, he comes to me. One has to have faith. One has to understand why we're reading, why we're memorizing. This is not just to achieve some profit, distinction, adoration as someone who has some good faculties for memory, or he can make a presentation. No, this is for our internal benefit. Externally, we use this for when we meet people because, yes, the opportunity is there. If someone is receptive and they can hear the timeless wisdom and knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, then they benefit. But if you don't have the realization of what you're speaking, then you cannot be convincing. So this is the key. Some people can tell when you're genuine, right? They use that term, genuine. Like a salesman, he's not really genuine. He's just trying to sell a product. Maybe he's not even ever used that product. But he has the sheet, and he can read the script. And he can say something. But that's not the same. When someone has practical experience, pratyaksha bhagamam dharmyam, susukha, so that this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets, is the purest knowledge, because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion. Everlasting and joyfully performed. So this confidential knowledge, when you read these shlokas, everything is encapsulated there. You can meditate on that verse forever, because it's already the perfection of religion. Right there. But you have to be practically applying it. You have to be practically applying it. And then nobody can say it. Somebody can say, oh, Krishna's not God. Okay, no problem. You have your opinion. You can be happy. I don't need to argue with you. What is the point? My faith is not up for debate. If someone wants to learn, he has to have some tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya. Try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire submissively and render service. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So all these devotees who have been studying for years, you can understand that for the most part, they've seen the truth. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, they've seen the truth. They've seen it, they've felt it, they've tasted it, they've experienced it. And for them, this is the primary reality. The other realities are there. I have to walk out in the street, that's a reality. I have to watch where I'm going, I have to watch where I'm walking. Okay? But that is a secondary reality. You know, we have to just take care. You know, just like I'm just taking care of the body. But the real reality is that I'm preparing myself to make this transition. Dearest Tachan and Murite. I don't want to be bewildered at the time. I don't want to be fearful at the time. I don't want to be screaming out of fear like people, you know, I don't want to die. You know, there's so many movies like that. Don't be like that. Don't be that person. Yeah. We should try to make our spiritual master proud of us, because that's our only goal, is to please the spiritual master. So you please the spiritual master, you will get all the benefit. Okay, it's time for prasadam. Mahaprasadam Govinde, and we'll finish the prayer downstairs. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. So what's the story, Bangsi? These two guys. So the people will complain, say, oh, your class, it was nice, but it was only half.